He was white-haired and red-faced, a veteran among the nomads of the sea, the oldest man aboard, and the only one of the port watch who had not felt the weight of the mate's fist. Scowling still as though in deep thought, he moved towards the ladder. The forlorn hope was going on a desperate enterprise of rescue. It might have been an ugly business. There was a sense in the mind of his fellows of something sickening about to happen. But the mate had finished with Conroy. The youth came staggering and crying down the ladder, with tears and blood befouling his face, and stumbled as his foot touched the deck. The older man, Slade, saved him from falling, and held him by the upper arm with one gnarled, tough-roughened hand, peering at him through the early morning gloom. "Kicked you when you was down, didn't he?" he demanded abruptly. "Yes," blubbered Conroy, shivering and dabbing at his face. "With his sea boots, too, the... Slade shook him. "Don't make that noise or he might kick you some more," he advised grimly. "You better go now and swab that blood off your face." "Yes," agreed Conroy tremulously, and Slade let him go. The elder man watched him move forward on shambling and uncertain feet, with one hand pressed to his flank, where the mate's kick was still an agony. Slade was frowning heavily, with a tincture of thought in his manner, as though he halted on the brink of some purpose. "Conroy," he breathed, and started after the other. The younger man turned. Slade again put his hand on Conroy's arm. "Say," he said, breathing short, "is that a knife in your belt?" Conroy felt behind him, uncomprehending, for the sheath knife which he wore sailor fashion in the middle of his back. "What do you mean?" he asked vacantly. "Here's my knife." He drew it and showed it to Slade, the flat blade displayed in his palm. The white-haired seaman thrust his keen old face towards Conroy's, so that the other could see the flash of the white of his eyes. "And he kicked you, didn't he?" said Slade tensely. "You fool." He struck the knife to the deck, where it rattled and slid towards the scupper. "Hey?" Conroy gaped, not understanding. "I don't see what—" "Pick it up," said Slade, with a gesture towards the knife. He spoke as though he strangled an impulse to brandish his fists and scream in a nasal whisper. "It's safe to kick you," he said. "A woman could do it." "But—" Conroy flustered vaguely. Slade drove him off with a wave of his arm, and turned away with the abruptness of a man disgusted beyond bearing. Conroy stared after him, and saw him pick up his broom where he had dropped it and join the others. His intelligence limped. His thrashing had stunned him, and he could not think. He could only feel, like fire in his mind, the passion of the feeble soul resenting injustice and pain which it cannot resist or avenge. He stooped to pick up his knife, and went forward to the tub under the head pump to wash his cuts in cold sea-water, the cheap balm for so many wrongs of cheap humanity. It was an accident such as might serve to dedicate the day to the service of the owners of the Villingen. It was early and sudden, but save in these respects it had no character of the unusual. The men who plied the brooms and carried the buckets were not shocked or startled by it, so much as stimulated. It thrust under their noses the always imminent danger of failing to satisfy the mate's ideal of seaman-like efficiency. They woke to a fresher energy, a more desperate haste under its suggestion. It was after the coffee interval which mitigates the sourness of the morning watch, when daylight had brought its chill grey light to the wide wet decks, that the mate came forward to superintend the pull all round, which is the ritual sequel to washing down. "Lee, fore brace, there!" his flat, voluminous voice ordered, heavy with the man's potent and dreaded personality. They flocked to obey, scurrying like scared rats, glancing at him in timid hate. He came striding along the weather side of the deck from the remote august poop. He was like a dreadful god, making a dreadful visitation upon his faithful. Short-legged, tending to bigness in the belly, bearded, vibrant with animal force and personal power.